Oh,
It's just it.
I saw that on 23.
It's 23. Yeah, last night,
ABC.
ABC.
Not 23, but
Jimmy
ABC.
Kimmel was talking about it. I mean, none of this would have happened if Martin hadn't ran the video. That's why we have the freedom of press and
That's right.
our First Amendment. I'm a big
That's
First
right.
Amendment guy.
right.
Well, you'll note that in these dictatorship, that's the first thing they want to take away from you. Is,
Oh, sure. Oh, yeah, your freedom to petition your government to run for office. We have to have those
That's right.
under all circumstances. Because if you could say, okay, you shouldn't do one of those, well, who gets to make that decision? See what I'm saying? I mean,
I understand.
yeah, I mean, and how do you enforce that? Because if you're going to take one away, people can take them all away.
That's right. Exactly.
The smoke is cleared.
Yes, it's finally after last Wednesday, the smoke has cleared.
And so after you've had a chance to reflect on all the interest that you've gotten across the country in your presentation before the Stark County Republican Executive Committee, what's your reaction?
It's been one of astonishment. I went to bed that Wednesday night, just thinking I'm going to wake up the next morning and the world's going to be the way I expected it to be. And about 12 o'clock, the bottom on that idea fell out. I started receiving phone calls from everywhere from Berlin, Germany, to New York City, New York, to Atlanta, Georgia. People saying that an article had been picked up by the Huffington Post, I believe, and it was running as a website, and I was accumulating hits real quickly. And literally, within a span of 5 or 10 minutes, it goes to YouTube. And then I think it got pulled from YouTube. And then it just spiraled out of control. And as of this morning, it has the main speech has over 500,000 hits. And I mean, I could go on. I've been contacted by the BBC out of London, England, CBS News, ABC News, the AP Wire, a variety of local radio stations, Channel 8, Channel 5, and a variety of other radio stations that have called to me from out in California that I couldn't give a citation of their official call numbers or call letters, but it's just been bewildering, yes.
Well, going to the speech itself, it was a very intense speech. And what kind of reaction have you gotten from your friends, your neighbors, and your family?
The reaction has been one of just, it's been mixed. There's people who say, that speech taken in its political context is the way political speeches in the old days, maybe 100 years ago, used to be delivered, whether it be Jonathan Edwards or Frederick Douglass, people like that. I mean, that's where the phrase stumping comes from. A candidate who was running for office would go to your local fair or street issues, or just walking the street, get up on a tree stump that had been sawed off and begin speaking, which is where stumping comes from. So taken in that context, it was fine, but other people who may not want to look at it in the political context say it really pushed the envelope and went across the line of where a speech should go. I mean,
Obviously, you disagree with that.
well, yeah, I mean, I take responsibility for the speech. I wrote it, I delivered it, and I delivered it how I meant it. But, I didn't mean to upset anybody. I don't mean to threaten anybody. It was a speech I thought that hammered the points home, hopefully, but, I wasn't in the audience, so.
Well, in fact, during the speech itself, you said, I make no apologies.
Right, that's right. I mean, I didn't come in there, and I don't want to look like your typical politician that comes to a podium and flips through their speech that they didn't write, that somebody that works for them wrote. They read it, and then they go through the motions, and we talk about we use the same rhetoric, the same language of change, and budgeting and democracy and voting. And I just came at it, as one person used the word raw. It was just in the flesh. This is how I feel. As you can see in the speech, I sometimes stagger over my words, have to go back to get my notes, but it wasn't. It's not your typically rehearsed political speech. It's in the flesh.
I have talked to several people who know Phil Davison before the speech.
Sure.
I call it the Davison firestorm.
and that's what it's been. I typically am a fairly quiet, introverted,
That's what I've
passive
been told.
person.
That's in fact, after the speech itself, right at the meeting on Wednesday night, I asked a well-known Stark County political figure, do you know Phil Davison? And the answer was yes. I'm totally stunned at this presentation.
Right. I mean, I guess people were a little taken aback that, I shifted out of my more introverted passive role to a more extroverted active role. And I think it really caught people off guard. And that may in fact be why there was a sense of astonishment. It may not so much have been the delivery of the speech, but like you're saying, Martin, it was the fact that I was changing roles. And that may have been added to why there was a sense of astonishment. Had that speech been given to a variety of people who didn't know me, it may not have had the same reaction. I mean, there may not have been astonishment. That speech given in a different context, people in the members of the audience, some people would respond like, yeah, good job, in a more of a church-like setting, like, amen. I've been, some people referring to me as a Baptist minister, but, to go back to like Jonathan Edwards gave the speech, sinners in the hands of an angry God. People in the audience who would hear that would say, yes, amen. So I guess the environment and the arena in which it was given needs to be considered as a variable.
So if you had it to do over again, would you do it again, same way?
Yes.